Hey, with Andy Weins, a 17-year U.S. Army veteran, Sergeant First Class, lives out in Wisconsin, and is currently the president of GreenUp Solutions. So excited to be talking with you, Andy, today. I can't thank you enough for taking a few minutes to share your story and to offer any advice that you have for our veterans. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Why don't you start out? Tell everyone a little bit about your time in the Army and what you did and what you got out of it. I know you worked in career counseling and did a variety of other stuff.
Yeah, I joined, went to Iraq 2006 and 2007 as 88 Mike, so truck driver. I've been in the Army Reserves. And I deployed to Gitmo, so a year down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba in 14 and 15 as an MP. So I worked in the facilities down there. And then I got back in late 15, and I've been a career counselor ever since. It's probably the most rewarding job I have because now you can spend time with troops and understand the challenges they're having, living in the civilian world with a military obligation. So now my whole life revolves around aligning the military obligation with the civilian career and the personal life, and making it so it all aligns and works well together. As a reservist, going on 17 years now, I'm faced with that same challenge every day.
That's great. What did you get out of the military? Why was it such a valuable experience for you?
I think it just challenges you in a different way. I tell people all the time, especially with what's going on in 2020, the beautiful thing about the military is when you show up, day one, 0 day, whatever you want to call that thing, everyone has the same opportunity to be successful. It doesn't matter where you came from, what knowledge or education you had. Everybody from that point forward has a reset on their clock. And for me, it allowed me the opportunity to check some of my strengths at the door and check some of the things that aren't strengths at the door, and learn that there's plenty of times in this world where you can't control everything. I'm a bit of a control freak, and you got to adapt and overcome. And then you learn, you find that strength from within. We all go through that. But for me, it was really about how do you work with people of different mindsets and be successful as a team. And if you have that is the biggest takeaway, because you can do that in the military, you can do that in the civilian world, because we're going to run into people in the civilian world that don't see the world the same way we do, the way they don't think about the world the way we do. And those are the ones that are going to challenge us the most.
Yeah. Prior to starting GreenUp Solutions, I know you had a franchise with J-Dog Junk Removal. Did you know when you were thinking about your civilian career that you wanted to head down more of that business owner entrepreneurial path? And if so,
yeah, I always had a side. Yeah, I always had a side hustle. I mean, for as long as I can remember, is even going back to high school, there was a way to make money on the weekends, moving people. I would do it if there was a way to make money. Scrapping. I've been doing this since I was 5, 6 years old, just taking apart stuff just because it's in our family. And right before I left for my deployment in 14, I wrote GreenUp Solutions on a napkin and said, that's what I'm going to do when I come home. And I used my time at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba to finish up my degree. I did 24 credits while deployed. And I came back home. I had one class to complete, and I took care of that and started our business at the beginning of 2016. And through that process, bought the Junk Removal franchise and went that direction for a long time. But environmental consulting as GreenUp Solutions has always been a passion of mine. My goal is to get rid of landfills, and then once you have that passion, then you figure out the path to get you there. But it's always been in my mind. The military, the jobs in corporate America, they taught me a lot on these different veins, but ultimately the goal was to get back to center and become an entrepreneur and business owner.
That's great. And you couldn't have a more timely business than GreenUp Solutions right now. Tell everyone a little bit about the organization and what you guys do. And
yeah, we're environmental consultants. We started in solid waste, and then about 2 years ago, I got into different technologies like UV light and antimicrobials, which for about a year and a half, no one wanted to talk to me. And then in early 2020, the business I'm in became very, very relevant about how do we protect work environments and everyday environments using hospital-grade protection and disinfection techniques and technologies in everyday environments. So it's like anything else. Some people say, well, you're in a great business to be in. Well, for a year and a half doing R&D, it was no one really wanted to talk to me. And that's something you have to be comfortable with if you want to become an entrepreneur and business owner. you have to recognize that you're going to spend a lot of time unpaid, perfecting your craft. And if you think you're going to get paid day one of a business, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And so that's what it comes down to. So whether it was the solid waste world or now doing a lot of consulting and problem solving for businesses, you gotta do it for years. You gotta be your own intern, if you will, and perfect your craft before anyone gives you a dollar.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about some of the struggles that you had to face and overcome, and and why like you mentioned, it's so necessary to go through that stuff. Nobody gets an easy path, and everyone's got to endure some crap, with their careers, whether you're working for somebody else or working on your own like you're doing.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember I got hired at Waste Management years ago. I had a side hustle of doing junk removal, and Waste Management caught wind of it and offered me the position to run a medical waste treatment facility. And I remember my boss at the time was like, well, I want someone with a military background. He wasn't military. And he hired me, and he's like, well, we just want the good parts of your military career. We want you to show up on time, be disciplined. And I'm like, well, you're going to get that, but you're also going to get very blunt, very bottom line up front kind of conversations. I respect the chain of command, but I'm not going to church things up. I'm not going to, kiss your ass for the sake of kissing ass. That's just not how we work in the military. And so I got the nickname at one point at Waste Management of the Angry Emailer, because if I'm willing to say it out loud, I'm willing to put it in an email. And we know that in the military, right? Once you put it in an email, it's official. But there's no shame in that. In the military, we can have those, no shit conversations behind the building or in a private room. And that was one of the biggest challenges I had, was in the civilian world. That's not as accepted as it is in the military, because we know we have to have those conversations sometimes. And now with our organization, the goal is that we find the best parts of the civilian world and the military culture and bring them together.
Yeah.
So as much as you want to lose your mind on some people some days, it's more about the coaching, training, mentoring, less about the knife hand and yelling and screaming.
What talk about, for guys, men and women coming out or have considered going into business for themselves. Why should they consider? Why do you feel it's a good path for veterans?
The biggest thing is the discipline. A lot of people struggle when they get into civilian or get into business ownership with, hey, no one's yelling at you to get up in the morning. No one's telling you to make that call. No one's telling you where that network is. And no one's showing you what right looks like. You've got to pave your own path. In the military, we're very good at adapting and overcoming situations. The flip side, though, is you are responsible for you. You have all that freedom. What are you going to do with it? Entrepreneurship is not for everybody, and it's not for everybody in the military. However, if you're a veteran, you're twice as likely than a civilian to start a business and be successful in business, because you have those core fundamentals. The biggest thing I can tell veterans when they come out is find what you're passionate about, and then take your path from there. If you're not passionate about it, if you're not doing it, if you're not willing to do it for nothing, then you're not willing to do it enough, because there are days that you question it. There are days when you just want a job. There are days when you want to go back to the military. I know that sounds crazy. There are days that I yearn to go back to Gitmo, which I hated that deployment. And there are days where I was like, I just wish I could be back there, because at least my life was planned out. When you get into entrepreneurship, you go from extreme discipline in the military to zero discipline, and you have to have your own internal, intrinsic discipline and motivation. And so if you want to get into the world, look at what are you passionate about and what are you willing to do for free. Start there before you look at anything else.
Yeah, that's great advice. What you would do for free. What are some other strategies that people can do where they don't have that passion yet? Sometimes people go a long time and they don't know what it is. What are some ways to get it out of them, to get people thinking about their life in that way?
Do anything and everything. And what I mean by that is, in the military, all too often we get pigeonholed. All right, this is the thing. This is your MOS. This is your duty position. You're here for X amount of time. The civilian world, in the state of Wisconsin here, right, it's an at-will state, which means you can quit and leave a job for no reason. They can fire you for no reason. If you're doing something you don't want to do, they got that first job out, like, what is it? I think 40% of veterans leave that first job out within the first year because it's not what they wanted to do. And there's no shame in that. So get that first job, recognize what is it you like and dislike. And you can't just say F the whole civilian world because this opportunity sucks. But you have to say, okay, this is what I like and dislike. Recognize there's a different set of rules in the civilian world. You're going to find in every company. So instead of just throwing it out, say, okay, this is what I like and don't like. And the next company I'm going to go to, this is what I'm looking for. Recognize what you're worth, right? And that goes both ways. If you're an E7, for example, with a little BAH and you get out of the military, you're making $75,000, $80,000 a year, you're probably not going to make that day one in the civilian world. You're not. You're probably a $45,000 to $50,000 a year employee. That's the honest truth. So get used to living on that budget, and the cost of living is going to go up. So whatever lifestyle you had in the military, that's probably gone. That's a fact. Whatever safety, security you had is probably gone. And whatever hard skills you had in the military are probably not transferable. So now it's like, holy cow, I got less money, I got less skills, I got less stability. Welcome to the civilian world. So now you got to look at that as, okay, let me focus on my soft skills. Let me focus on the time I have with my family. Let me go out and get what I want out of this world. I meet people all the time that they just go get a job and they're happy. They're like, yeah, I work 40 hours and it's fine. I got my retirement. I work 40 hours in a job that I don't have to think about. No stress. I don't take it home with me. I'm good. And other people want to chase the $200,000 a year jobs. Neither one is right or wrong. But what does success look like to you? Start there. Focus on your soft skills, and the path you go will evolve over time. In the civilian world, there is not this path like there is in the military, right? Pass your PT test, go to the board, be soldier of the month, be soldier of the quarter, get promoted, move to your next duty station, get deployed, come back, go to this school, right? It's kind of all laid out. Civilian world, it is a big world full of holes, and you got to learn to navigate it.
And go with the flow, no doubt.
Got to go with the flow.
What about networking? How can men and women leverage the military veterans who have come before them, who are already out in the civilian world, to help mentor them, help guide them, support them? They should, and why it's so important to take advantage of that.
Well, think about the military, right? Our greatest strength is the brothers and sisters to our left and our right. And a lot of times we forget that, myself included, when you get to the civilian world. So start networking months and years before you ETS. You got to start networking and building your network. I don't care if it's through LinkedIn, Facebook, military connections, right? We have the biggest alumni in the country, right? We have the biggest group, whether it's branch of service or military in general, where we have this thing in common. You got to network. Chances are, if you're going to find that forever home, that career, it's going to come through a referral or through a network, through a military individual that sets you up for success or hires you within their own company. And if you're not networking now, you're already failing. And the military, we network, right? Some people call it the good old boy system, whatever you want to call it, but it's just networking.
Right.
It's recognizing these soft skills among individuals, and you got to network. You can find me on LinkedIn and reach out to me and network, and I'll introduce you to more people. You got to network. It's not a skill that we're taught in the military, and even the civilian world, you're really not taught it. You just got to learn how to do it by going out. One of the things, I'm a mass resiliency trainer in the Army, and one of the things we teach right off the bat, one of the first lessons is asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness.
Right.
You got to go into it with that mindset. If you go into it with that mindset, you're strategically in a good place already. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to ask the world for help. And I hate the word help. That's me. I hate the word help. So instead, shift gears. Ask for support. I'm transitioning. This is going to be my new home record. I need your support so I can transform from a service member one day to a veteran in the civilian world the next day.
Yep. Also, ask, another word could be advice. People are so willing. I've never met a tighter group than the military. How you guys want to help one another, but also there's so many civilians too. If asked, will drop anything to help a veteran.
Yep.
But you got to put yourself out there. Like you said, it's awkward. It's, if you're not used to it, you might feel, I feel like I'm a charity case, but it's not that at all. It's just, don't go at somebody, hey, can I have a job? But just say, hey, can you help me with, support me, help me with my career. People are more than happy to
tell people what success looks like. Say, hey, this is the end state I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Can you support me getting there?
Yep.
Not, hey, I need a job. You're absolutely right. This is the entity I'm looking for. And also recognize that the job of the VA and the job of a lot of other organizations is very narrow, right?
Right.
The American Legion and the VFW are really good at supporting you getting disability, right? They also do legislation. The VA is there to help you for fix or help you for broke, right? And fix you. That's it. It's not their job to get you a job, right? And that's kind of some of the reality y'all need to hear. It's your job. You have to be your biggest advocate. Don't sit back and think, okay, well, this 3 or 4 letter organization is going to get me taken care of because I earned it. That's going to last about 10 minutes.
Right.
When I got back from Iraq in 2007, I got laid off at the end of 2008. And then early 2009, there I am going door to door looking for a job, combat veteran, mid-20s, and all these things going for me. I couldn't get a job. The world didn't owe me anything.
Yeah.
I was unemployed for 5 months, and the world didn't owe me a thing.
Yeah.
You got to recognize that too. You got to go out and be your biggest advocate. And that first real job I got was because of a connection my father knew from a construction company.
That's great. No, that's awesome.
You got it. That's it. I'm not going to say I was lucky, but I put myself out there.
Yeah, you got to put yourself out there and take charge of your life, and you can have some great days ahead if you pick your passion, do all that stuff you mentioned.
I spent 3 years doing concrete work when I thought I was somebody. I wasn't anybody. It was awfully humbling. All of a sudden I'm doing construction for 3 years, working on my associate's degree. I went from being somebody in the military to nobody quick, fast, and hard.
Yeah, but you built yourself up, which is awesome. What's next for you, and what's in the future?
2020, I was going to do a lot of public speaking, and that went to shit, which I love doing, and I'll continue doing. Even opportunities like this, just get in front of the audience and share my journey, in an attempt or in hopes that it empowers others. So whether I'm talking with entrepreneurs, veterans, that's what's next, is continue to put myself out there and sharing my journey with others to empower them to take on whatever is next in their lives, and also define their success along the way.
Yeah, well, that's what I like so much about you, Andy. I mean, I just met you the other day, and I could tell instantly you care deeply about your brothers and sisters in the military. And I would add, this is part of your passion too, not just GreenUp, but I could tell that you really want to help and be a force for positive good and help people find their way. And that's awesome. So I'm so glad we had a chance to meet. I thank you again for sharing your story. It's really inspiring. I hope others learn from it and follow some of this advice, because it's spot on.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.